one day we were talking, they said, man, you know what? I'm going to talk to my private lender. And then the other guy said, well, my first 50, I didn't put any money into it. And I'm sitting there like, Santa Claus is not real. Like, like the idea that like how I thought wealth in investing worked is not how really it worked. Like all these dudes is making a ton of money with no money in the deals and no money like really out. And I was like, wait a minute, nobody told me this? Like Santa Claus is not real. Like this, you've been lying to me. I've been waking up every Christmas morning thinking that somebody was coming down my chimney. I should have known when I don't even have a chimney that Santa Claus wasn't real.
I want to welcome everybody back to, man, our first ever Def Comedy Jam special.
No.
I'm kidding, man. Welcome to First Generation Wealth Builders, man. I appreciate you tapping in with us one more time, man. I got a super, super dope guest that I recently met. And I think that you're going to enjoy this interview, man. So I want to welcome Sterling Davis, man. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I'm excited. I made it, mama. Like I made it. Like this is it. Like this is like the pinnacle. I can retire now.
Man,
like,
cut it out.
Like I DM'd him on Facebook, and I was like, man, I just want to be like you when I grow up,
bro.
And he froze me in the inbox.
Stop that. Well, let's talk about it. Because you said that the first time I met you too. You was like, bro, you didn't return my message. Well, I did. I was just like, man, I'm a little busy. And you know, and basically you DM me just to kind of connect.
Yeah.
I just been swamped, man. As we talked, I've been short staffed.
I really get like how like dudes be jumping in girls' GMs and they getting froze. I feel that now. Like I've been married for 10 years, so I don't know. I wasn't around that generation, and this is like I got froze. Dang, this is what it feels like. Like he said, he hearted my message. It was like heart. Like I was like, dang.
Man, I apologize. Like I said,
I'm joking.
Just been super, super busy, man. I just haven't had time. It's a lot of people that reach out. So
Absolutely.
if that is you, I don't mean no ill intent. It's just I'm also in the pursuit
Absolutely.
of trying to obtain my next goal, and I don't have the
time is wealth, man.
There
time
it is.
Is wealth.
But man, you know we here.
Yeah, I made it. I made it. I made it, mama. Like, hi, mama.
All right, man. So. For those who don't know you, man, Who is Sterling Davis?
Yeah, man. So, truly, I'm a creator of. That's what I look at myself as is a creator. Like I almost look at it as like an artist. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been doing entrepreneurship for 13 years now, right? So, I've been creating, building, trying to figure out life. For the last 13 years, right? So my mission in life is to improve and enhance the quality of my community, right? Like I want to improve the quality of life for individuals around me that I impact, right? Like I've done it. I've done it all, right? Like I've realized at an early age I'm unemployable, right? Like I realized one year I had 12 like jobs in a year. Like my tax lady was like, what the, like, are you serious? Like, and that was me just trying to figure out life. Like I knew that like college wasn't that. And so now I own Ethosity Property Management. I'm a part owner of Central Indiana Real Estate Investor Association. I'm an owner of Color Blocks, which is our syndication company. And yeah, man, we're just trying to build a better, cliche, right? Like build a better community, right? Like, and we do it through real estate and other acquisitions.
Got you. Man, to hop straight to it, you mentioned syndication.
Yep.
For those who don't know, what is syndication?
So it's the idea that you are building what we call a fund, right? Like you're building a fund that people can buy into. Now, on a simpler form, you can either have a private or public one. What we're doing is we're building a public. We're more of getting a 506 C destination so that we're able to take people money that is more public than people we know, right? Like you can have a syndication that works in which it's just people you know, right? I know him for 10 years. Hey, do you want to invest in this property? Great. This is your term of what you're going to return of it, or you're going to get equity inside of it. Where we want to be able to open it up to other people, right? We want to be able to give it to people that not necessarily has had opportunities to invest in real estate on a passive level, right?
Got you. So allow me to interject. So what I hear you saying is that somebody watching can invest in you
Yeah.
with you,
Mm-hmm.
maybe give you 50,000, thirty
Yep.
thousand, and then you will then broker a return, a cash on cash return for
Right.
them that's
So,
monthly.
yeah, so I have to be careful, right? Like I have to be careful because it's still, there's guidelines in which that you with the laws and things like that when it comes to marketing, right?
Understood. I'm sorry.
Right. So this is just a way in which you can do a fund, right? Like
Okay.
that somebody can invest with somebody like myself.
Understood.
And they could, say we do apartment buildings and value add properties on the larger sense, anywhere from 1 million to 5 million, right? And they could say hypothetically they can invest 50,000 upward to invest in this fund, and they could either be a term loan. Hey, you're going to make 8% on it, 10% on it, or they can be equity inside of it, right? They're
Understood.
going to make get their money back, but they also will get when we sell or when we get dividends, they will get a percentage in which they invested hypothetically, right?
Got you.
So that's like that's my disclaimer, right? Like Sterling's not a lawyer, like on the bottom, right? Like, but hypothetically, if you was going to invest in a fund, that's how you go about it, right?
Got you. Got you. That's big. That's big. Now, what all do you do in real estate?
Yeah, so I mean, primarily I started as a property manager, right? And then as a property manager, well, truly, so I first came. My parents, I'm a second generation real estate broker,
Understood.
right? So my parents started doing this 30 years ago, and they were like, Sterling, you need to get in real estate because they knew I was not going to be a great employee. You got to be having these real conversations with your kids. Like, listen, college is probably not for you. You probably should get your license. So my parents was realistic, and I was like, I ain't getting my license because that's what my parents wanted me to do,
Right.
right? But they were smart. They knew that they had a no kid, right? Like I was trying to figure out life, right? So I did. I ended up like grudgingly getting my license and started, after a couple companies and things, started my property management company, and that's kind of I would say the foundation of every other company since I started my property management company is kind of a branch from it. So our maintenance company, our syndication company, our real estate brokerage, Syria, that I'm a part owner of, like all of those are kind of just a branch from the property management company.
Got you. So I consider property management the real estate cheat code. What do you think about that?
I can see that, right? Like, I can see why you say that because it is, right? Because it is. It surely is, right? Like because we are, we get we get to see all of it. And this is how I started investing, right? So I started investing by managing my godfather's properties. My godfather had land, he had development, he had all these. And I was just learning. I didn't even know about investing really. I didn't know about investing. I knew you manage a property, you collect rent, you do these things. And little by little, I'm like, oh man, this is the return he's getting. This is what he. I started, Google. I did graduate from Google University, right? Like, so I'm Googling all the stuff I need to know about property management. And I was able to see how you handle maintenance. I was able to see how you handle a rental, how you look at a budget, all these things that I started learned about like cash on cash, all these different things that you get to learn by managing people's properties, right? And then that's why I feel like it's a cheat code for me, right? Because now I got the game. Like they come to me and they're like, Sterling, I'm doing this, and this. I'm gonna buy 100 rental properties. This is how I'm doing it. Like people just give me the game. Like I'm like, oh, cool. All right, taking that. I'm gonna go buy 100 rental properties just like he bought 100, right? And that's basically how I started investing too, right? Like I just took what I was learning through property management and how all these people was doing different things, and I learned what not to do. Right? I learned whoa, that person over leveraged himself, right? Like he did the burr, but he took out too much money in the wrong neighborhood. I'm not going to do that either, right? So it truly allowed me to see so many aspects of real estate that I feel like it's a cheat code, but it also is a unique. It's a unique business to be in. Let me say that.
What's your biggest challenge as a property manager?
Our biggest bottleneck inside property management is previous property management. And what I mean by that is what we're trying to do. So I'm not a property manager, right? I never have done property management up until I started Ethosty Property Management. So for me, what it allowed me to look at it as an entrepreneur. Any entrepreneur, you have a profit and you have a loss, right?
Correct.
Inside property management, if you go to a property management conference tomorrow, the number one question that everybody asks you is, you know what it is? You probably don't.
I don't.
The number one question is, how many doors do you have? Right?
I knew that.
Yeah, I don't think you do. Like they ask you how many doors you have. As an entrepreneur, you know this. That means nothing, right?
True.
That absolutely means nothing because you could have 1,000 doors and not have a pot to piss in. And so for me, I started looking at this holistically of how an entrepreneur should look at it. So I said, some of these rules that you have been living by is completely BS, right? Like it's completely stupid. Like, you know what I mean? And the biggest challenge has been the idea that it's changing a culture, right? It's changing the idea that a percentage model based fee structure is good, right? Normal property management says your rent, whatever your rent is, charge 10% of it, right?
Right.
But why does that make sense? In other businesses, your Big Mac does not cost more because you get it from 38th Street than you get it on 116th Street.
Facts.
Right? So why do we do this inside of property management? And that's what I started challenging. I started challenging the idea of this norm because in my property management, you either have people that died after 3 to 4 years in property management or people that's been here for 50. Right? So it was never like in between there. So the biggest challenge has been changing a culture that doesn't help the investor that's investing, that you're managing a property, nor does it help the business. So most investors would tell you, my property manager sucks. The communication sucks. Everything about it sucks. Most people understand that about property management, but they don't understand or want to change property management for the better. So it's that culture that says, yeah, they suck, but I don't want to pay anymore because this is the model in which we've been doing this. So every day, that's what we fight. Every day, we're improving. When technology improves, we improve. With the culture, just different demographics change, we're changing. But it still gets bumped up against because we're like, well, we're going to charge you for every fee. We're going to charge you for the services that we render, just like any other business. And people are like, what? No, I want the percentage model. And what I tell them is, think about this. It's kind of like property management before I got into this was a loss leader. Most people stock them deep and sell them cheap, right? When I get to 100 doors, I'm going to be profitable. I get to 1,000 doors, that's when I'm really going to start making money and I can start hiring people. Well, what happens is it's this a projection of, all right, I'm going, but any business, you grow, what do you need to do? Add more resources to it.
Right.
So that profitability in that dream shrinks, never happens, right? Same thing. 300 doors, 500 doors, it shrinks, it shrinks, it shrinks. So as we started changing this culture, people are like, I like it, I like what you're doing, but I don't want to pay more for it. And I argue, you're already paying more for it. You just don't know it.
So, what makes your company, your property management company, better than the next?
So I think I think there's other good property managers, right? Like I do. I think when we look at property management, inside of it, and inside the niche that I'm talking about is, residential, small multifamily. Most of the residential is less than 125,000. The multifamily is less than 20 to 30 units inside of that. So what makes us what is our competitive advantage is the idea of our mission. Our mission is to enhance the quality of our community, period, right? And we do that every day. Every day we strive to do that. And so I think most property managers, if you ask them, they have the same thing we have, right? They have a property management software. They have somebody that answers the phone, hopefully. They have a leasing call center. At this point, we all go to the same seminars, right? Like we all tap into the same thing.
Right.
But truly, what makes us different is the idea of what we're doing it for. And that's what people buy into for us, right? Is that we're not just going to go in and invest in this neighborhood and help you invest in a neighborhood, but what is the impact and the influence that we have while we're investing in that neighborhood? And that's what we fight for, right? Like that's what makes us different. And that's what we do for owners, right? Like our shareholders, our partners, is that's how we improve the quality of their life.
Got you. Understood. Now, you mentioned Syria.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, what is Syria?
So it's Central Indiana Real Estate Investor Association, right? So it's a membership organization. We have about 900 active members inside of it. It's where you can just go learn about real estate investing, right?
Got you. What's the impact that it's had on you?
It's been great. So I started 6 years ago with Syria.
Okay. Just as a member?
Yeah, just as a member, a volunteer. I was just going just to kind of find, in sales, you're trying to find a whale, right? So we had the property management company. I'm like, where's the investors, right? So I started going to Syria, which there's other RIAs, right? If you're an investor or you're a broker or anything, like get connected to your RIA. I preach that, right? But so Syria was dope. It was the largest in Central Indiana. At the time, it was a nonprofit. Had some challenges as a nonprofit, right? We had some new leadership. They asked me to join the board. They asked, Vicky Perry, who's retiring this year, but she was the executive director. And we were probably at like 300 members when I joined. So I became the vice president of it. We really worked at giving just a better product, man. Like most of these RIAs you go to is somebody trying to sell you a package. And what we realized is most people don't want to be sold anything, but they do want to learn something. They do want to they want to build, right? Like they want to grow. And they want to hear from people that look and sound like them, right? That's whatever your native tongue is. They want to see that, right? And so that's what we started giving them, right? We started building people. Like that's where I kind of found my voice a little bit more about investing. More local people that have local knowledge, right? Like instead of these national speakers and gurus coming in, we still have some, right? They still have.
You're not a guru, bro.
I'm just a man trying to get by, bro. Like, I'm just trying to figure it out. Like
that sports coach says guru.
And this sports coat says nothing was clean this morning. Like, this work coat is like, man, all right, can't wear my sweatsuit. Wore that 3 days in a row.
You're silly. But now go ahead. I'm so sorry to interject, man.
Nah, man, I ain't no guru, man. So I hate the idea of gurus, though. I've been burned by so many coaches and gurus and stuff, man. So I love mentors. I love those aspects of it. But like gurus remind me of people that take themselves too serious.
Dead.
Like, like
I can't disagree with
man,
you.
like you really think you the ish. Like, you come down a little bit, right?
There it
Like,
is, there it is.
so that's kind of the difference, I guess. Like I'm not a guru.
And back to it though, when it came to Syria, the impact,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, on you, you became, you know what I'm saying, a board member.
Yep.
And so for those that are new to real estate,
Mhm.
what do you see, you know, that those new members gain when they
Yeah.
get there?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I really do think I think Syria in itself, in its essence of what we do for new investors is really dope. Because there's a safe place, right? Like it's sometimes hard going in, like where we met, right? We went to Finance of America. It's all these people that's been enduring this for umpteen years, and they talking, industry terms, and you're like, but if I was new, I would be kind of lost. Like, I would be I'm like, man, this is great drinks and food, but
What y'all talking
what y'all
about?
talking about? Like,
Right, right.
so I think Syria is good for that, right? Like, I think it was great for even for myself, right? To really learn in a safe environment where people wasn't judging me, right? I think that's where we really have hit the nail on the head, right? I think, when I look at Syria's like projection, right? Syria's actually been around since like 1980.
Mm.
Started as the Landlord Association. And then the Landlord Association kind of they all he wanted to talk about was landlord and stuff. Like, but you realize, investing is more than just landlording, right? And then that changed over to Syria. They wasn't making money, and then we came in, and now we're profitable. Had to go from a nonprofit to a for-profit. That was a bump in the road, but now it's thriving. Like we're doing really really well inside of what it does for new investors is insane. I think it's one of the best resources that you can invest in for less than $300 a year.
Got you. Can you talk about the power of proximity and some of the dope people that you met?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think it's one of those things that when I first got to Syria, was the idea that I just wanted to be. Vicky asked me, she said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I just want to be available."
Mm.
Right? I want to be available for whatever God has for me, right? Like I want to if you introduce me, I'm available. If want me to go, I'm available, right? So when I started just being available, I started sitting in rooms with people that's been doing it. I joke with this dude Dave Short, right? Dave Short, I joke because he's like 192 years old, right? Like he was flipping houses with Moses, like like Dave was up in here like, listen, that's a nice boat. All right, I get it. Like we got to build it, and they would
That's
come,
funny.
like right,
That's
like,
funny.
but so he's seen like real estate transition. And he always telling me, Sterling, every 10 years you got to reinvent yourself, right? Like, so
Mm.
he's seen real estate every 10 years kind of make this shift. I mean, he's been doing it for 275 years. So, I mean, like, he has to be able to know what's going on. So, being able to be in rooms with people like that is amazing. He flips like 10 to 15 homes a month,
Wow.
right? And I told somebody yesterday, I was like, man, I think what Syria changed for me as a little black boy was it was almost like I found out Santa Claus wasn't real.
I'm dead. Explain
Right.
that.
So look, right? So when I first got into sorry,
It's
I'm
cool.
hitting
It's
the
picking
mic.
you up. It's
Yeah, all
cool.
right. When I first got into Syria, I thought people bought real estate because they were rich, right?
Mm.
And then this dude that was working with me doing this, he had 60 units we were managing, right? He had 60 units he was managing. And Dave was flipping 10 to 15 properties a month. And one day we were talking, they said, man, you know what? I'm going to talk to my private lender. And then the other guy said, well, you know, my first 50, I didn't put any money into it. And I'm sitting there like, Santa Claus is not real. Like, like the idea that like how I thought wealth in investing worked is not how really it worked. Like all these dudes is making a ton of money with no money in the deals and no money like really out. And I was like, wait a minute, nobody told me this? Like Santa Claus is not real. Like this, you've been lying to me. I've been waking up every Christmas morning thinking that somebody was coming down my chimney. I should have known when I don't even have a chimney that Santa Claus wasn't real. But
That's
so for
funny.
me, that was the aha moment was being in these rooms with people and they start telling you like, nah, I brought this flip. Yeah, dude gave me 8% with 1 point. All I had to do is pay that point and I got that flip money. What? Are you kidding me? Like,
So for somebody listening, the 8%,
yeah,
that's the interest rate.
right.
Got you.
Absolutely.
How
Yep.
much money down did the dude have to put down?
So, right, like now, Dave, I shouldn't tell Dave's business. Now, if I was hypothetically talking about Dave because he does so much deals, this dude is doing no points, 8%, 7%, right? And so when I first started doing this, I'm getting like 3 points, 12%. So I'm paying dang near 15% on my deals, right? I remember we talked about Brian Snyder. Brian Snyder told me, it's like, yeah, man, you just need to keep doing deals. I'm telling you, it'll get better. Just keep doing the deals with this dude. It'll get better. And now we still pay 1 point and at 9 to 10%, just depending on which deal we do, right?
Got you.
So it's improved. I'm still not doing 15 deals a month, right? Like if I
Right.
did 15 deals a month, I get no points and 8%, right? So
Got you. Got
yeah.
you. Do you flip?
So I am I kind of like, right. So I do whatever the deal tells me to do,
Smart man.
right? So I don't look at investing in the sense of like going in like I only buy and hold because I feel like you will lose opportunities because you're so rigid, right? So I flip, I guess. I kind of wholesale a little bit. I do regular brokerage. Every deal is a different deal for me. I buy and hold. The ultimate goal though is to buy and hold, right? Like that's my ultimate goal. But every deal is not meant to be held
Got you. Got you. Why is your ultimate goal to buy and hold?
because I think that is what real estate is meant to be used for. I think real estate is meant to be leveraged and it's meant to be a vehicle in which we hold it inside for different reasons, tax benefits and just the appreciation and so that's my ultimate goal is to hold real estate, right? Now I think as I mature and things, I realize there's some other alternatives and things, but I love what real estate does when you hold it. But like I said, that does not mean that every deal that comes across my desk is meant to be held. But I'm at a point where I believe every deal was meant to make money off of, though,
There you
right?
go. There you
Like
go.
that's like I found that even if it's $500, I can make money off of it. You know what I mean? Like I'll take 500 if I can move it quickly, right? I'll take 1,000 if I can move it quickly. I really truly believe in leveraging everything that I do.
How many units do you currently hold?
So I own 30 units.
Got you.
I'm selling 10 of them though because it's market, right? So the first 10 I bought very urban areas, and those is my babies, right? But the market is telling me this is the perfect time to sell these 10, right? So
Understood.
it's at its highest and best. The house is never going to be worth more than 65,000, right? Like it would take me 25, 30 years to, if everything goes right, to make some of the profit that I'm going to make on the houses that I'm selling, right? So we manage about 550 units
Understood.
for other
Understood.
people.
Understood. What's the sweet spot you look for for your buy and hold portfolio? Again, it all varies because we know that every property is bringing in a
Yeah,
different margin,
Yep.
but what would be a great spot, a cash flow for you monthly? Maybe that's the better
Absolutely.
question.
Yeah.
What's the best? What would be a great cash flow for you monthly? That's the best question.
Yeah. So for me, I love. First, I love. This is. I shouldn't tell this because then people always takes my stuff, and I'll be like, dang it, I miss out now, right? But my favorite houses are houses that are small, on a slab, on a crawl, um, 2 1s, 3 1s, Eagle Dale type houses, right? Like those are used to be, those are my favorite. I love those type of houses. My monthly cash flow, I like to be above 200 if I can, because everything has to go right. I started, 10, 12 years ago, uh, and I started these urban areas, right? And that's where I built my, what I call my renter center model of management, right? So when I first bought my house, houses there in very, man, they in the hood basically, right? Like they're in the hood. And I was projected to make about 250 to $300 on them, right? And that's not uncommon. It's not uncommon that you'll make a higher margin inside of the urban areas because you buy them cheap, but it's a risk and a reward, right? So I was making 250 to 300 on them, great properties. In the sense I got them for what I had to, put in what I had to put in. So every week it was something new. Every week it was a garbage disposal, screen door. Somebody stole my AC unit. So I said, wait, I can't keep doing it like this. So at the end of the year, tenants moved out. I said, what has to be inside these rental properties? By law, what has to be in these rental properties? And I started looking. I said, well, in these units, most of these don't even have AC. I was adding AC just as a benefit. But I started realizing the standard for these neighborhoods at $600 in rent is they don't even come with ACs. I said,
Bro, they would be burning up today.
boy. so I garbage disposals. I had 3 garbage disposals go out in the first week of buying one of my properties at the time.
Wow.
Screen doors, stove, refrigerators, all these things I was adding to the properties that was not necessary. So I said, look, told my contractor, take all that stuff out. Screen doors, all that, take it all out. And I said, listen, why I call it the renter center model of management, right? Is because I give them the standard never changes. Still give great flooring, still give great painting, kitchen, all that is still the standard in which that we don't go below the standard. But what we did was we said, all right, you want a stove and refrigerator? Bet. I got you. You know how you rented your TV, your couch, your everything, right? You can rent this stove and refrigerator from me for $30 deposit. I mean, non-refundable deposit, and $30 a month, right? So that's what we started doing. We started renting it back, and I'll buy it on, like at the time I was buying it from like Big John's and places like there for $100. So within a couple months, I made my money back. I added revenue on my rental that wasn't there, and it worked. And also, we gave them the option that you didn't have to rent from us if you don't want it. But if you were to rent from us, these are the standard. So what happened after we gave them that option? People started saying, I don't want your stove and refrigerator. Okay, bet. It's your responsibility though, right? So when we didn't make that extra cash flow, we end up making the extra cash flow because we weren't responsible for it, right? So that's how I look at just rental properties. Every rental segment from below 800 and below to 800 to 1,000 above has a different style in which I believe you can do different things. Like 1,000 above, like you have to have some amenities and things like that. But there's certain fees and things that I can add that they don't even flinch at.
Got you, got you. Now, somebody listening may say, man, $200 a month is not a lot.
Yeah,
Why would he invest in a property like that that only cash flows $200 a month?
yeah. So there's a lot of reasons, right? One, because how much, it's not about how much, it is about that monthly, right? Like I love monthly cash flow, but you have to ask yourself, how much did you put in to get $200 a month, right? Like if I if I told you you can have $200 a month, but you paid $100,000 for it, you'd be like, nah, that's stupid. I ain't doing that deal. Like that don't make any sense. But if I told you you can have $200 a month and you initially put $10,000 down, and then after 6 months you refinance that out, you make $50,000 plus that $200 a month, you would be like, and you make 50, and you make 15 to 20% on that 10,000. Now you're like, all right, that's a good deal. I'll
Gotcha.
take $200 a month, right? And
Understood.
as well as I believe, like when I first started, 200 wasn't anything, but then I got to 10 units, and it was 1,200, or it was 22,000, it was 4,000, it was 5,000. Little by little, that 200 became worth it, right? Like it's the numbers game. So I always say, like, you can get the cash flow. That's part of it. The appreciation's another part of it, and of course, the equity in which you have inside the deal is another leveraging point.
Got you. So as we talk, you got the property management.
Yep.
You have your properties, and then you also have the syndication that you're starting.
Yep.
How big is your team?
Yeah. So ever evolving. So we have 7 people that work for me right now. We have as W-2 employees. We have a host of different real estate agents that kind of help people find deals. We have the wholesale side of it. So we have about 5 people on that side
Okay.
that helps find deals for people. It helps investors through the process, right? And then the syndication company, it's just me and a partner right now, and we have an assistant. So we kind of keep it tight, man. Like most of the people been with us, for a good long haul. I really, honestly, I'm not that good. My team is amazing, though, right?
There it
Like I
is.
said it, everybody heard it. Like, everybody heard it. Like, I mean, my team is rock stars. Like, I mean, they can go anywhere else and be executives. You know what I mean? They can go anywhere else and be, own their own business.
So, um, I talked about this in a prior podcast. What do you do to retain talent like that? Because a lot of us smaller investors fear that as we grow and we're empowering somebody that's super talented, even probably more talented than we are,
Yeah.
could then go off and do their own thing.
Yeah. So I look at it like this, right? I'm a former basketball player. I coach. I look at it as like how coaching is, man. It's the coaching tree, right? Like I want people to leave me and excel, right? Like I want people, like we hear about the Bill Belichick tree from Bill Parcells, right? Like, and you see those people and you're like, dang, he's a good coach. He's a good coach. But we also hear the alternative, right? Like, well, this dude came from under this dude and they never really flourish, right? So I pride myself on people leaving and thriving to
I
be
love
better,
it.
right? Like,
I love it.
I love that our team is going to be executives in other places, and what they learn from us, hopefully, is something that is transferable to other walks of their life, though.
No, no doubt, no doubt. Now, I got to go back a little bit. So, you told me a little bit about your journey
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
you was just like, you
Yeah.
kept getting fired.
Yeah, I was terrible. I was a terrible employee.
Your attitude probably sucked, bro.
No, no, like it's really that I didn't take anything serious. Like
Got you.
because I was like, oh, what happened? All right, I quit. My college years was not a normal college year. So for me, like, I had a kid at 18, right?
Gotcha.
So I had a kid at 18. Me and my wife now, she was smart. She was like my mom. So real story. My mom told me when I told my mom and dad, uh, Melissa's pregnant. We're having a baby. My mom goes, "Why'd you ruin that girl's life?" So the expectation was really low for me. Like, like,
Oh my God.
the expectation for me to be great. Like, so I went over a friend's house this weekend, right? Like, he won the national the NBA championship, and all our friends was there, and they was like, "Sterling, man, it's crazy you made it." Like, I was like, what do you mean? They was like, man, I don't know what you thought. We thought you would become, but like, it's crazy you made it. Like,
I'm dead.
I was like, man, expectations was really low for me in high school. Like the roadmap is all these examples. People were telling me that I had no, like, I guess I was in the yearbook, like most likely not to succeed. Like,
Yeah, man.
so for me, I guess expectations was like, hey, but for me, I knew I was always going to be great. Like I always knew so I started doing comedy, started doing
Yeah, you told me about
acting, right? Like so I was acting in high school while I was playing basketball. And I used to have a headshot and I'll sign it and I hand it to people like I'm gonna be famous one day. You might as well keep it. Like, and I was just went around like like my teachers was having it on their wall and stuff. So I never lacked confidence, right? Like I never lacked the ability to think that I was going to be great, right? So, but I realized everybody around me was betting like on Sterling to fail, right?
I was so dead. So like let's talk about that, man. You talked about comedy.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
So man, I was playing basketball. Realized like basketball wasn't for me.
Basketball where at?
So I was playing at Pike, and then I ended up found out I had heart disease, and they were like, "You shouldn't play anymore. You're gonna die." And I was like, so I played a little bit. I went to a prep school, and I was like, "Forget what they talking about. I'm still playing."
Oh wow.
Like so I was acting at the time, like doing like so. Did a Safe Auto commercial, did a Nike commercial, did all these things, and then I was like, my teacher, my man, this is actually just telling like I realized my whole childhood people didn't really think I was going to be talking. So my teacher told me this. He said Sterling, I don't know what you're going to become in life, but you sure are funny. So maybe you should focus on that because I don't think school's for you. Like,
Well, he was trying to direct you in what he saw your talent, your gift
yeah,
was.
exactly. My science teacher, Mr. Drumright, I know you. Thank you. Right. So that made me start thinking. So I started picking up doing shows at Crackers Comedy Club, and I was just turned 18, so I started doing shows. And I realized I was like, man, I like this, but I'm one of those people. I'm 0 to 100. I can't just do it halfway. So had a kid at 18. I'm 18 doing stand up comedy. I said, I'm moving to California.
Okay.
My girlfriend, now wife, she's like, what? I said, God told me I need to move to California, right? And so my dad's a preacher. He's like, Sterling, you need to get a real job. You need to do da 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 da. And I was like, yeah, just like you think God moves you, I think God is telling me
Okay.
to go to California, right? So I go to California.
Does she go with you?
No, no. So my thing was, I was like, listen, if we're meant to be together, we'll be together, right? And it's worked out, right? About to be 10 years, August 5th, right?
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I go to California, living on my cousin's ex-boyfriend's couch. Like, and I didn't have it. I was just like, I'm gonna do stand-up comedy. So I started working at the Comedy Store. I started writing for people, end up getting an internship to write for like Conan O'Brien. Everything looked up for me, right? But I started realizing that I was not as good of a comedian as I was a business person. Like, so comedy was like, all right, you want a set? All right, how many people can you bring? You can open if you can bring 50 people. Bet I can get 50 people in here. All right. So I started learning the essence of the game. And I was like, man. And then, California 1, Sterling 0, right? Like things just started getting rocky, right? Like Conan at the time was on the Late Show, but he left because of some things. So I was fired. And then I was at the Comedy Store. I was only making minimum wage at the time, so I had to come back with a negative 400 bank account. But what I learned from that experience was the greatest gift of all, right? It taught me how money worked. It taught me how to California is like my spirit animal now. Like, it's like, if I just need to go get rejuvenated, everybody hustling in California. Like everybody trying to get it. Like, I went on, like at the time, I went on a date with this girl, and our date ended with her showing me her like her trailer for her like her movies and stuff. And she was like, I heard your friend is a producer, so can he come in here and watch this for me? Like,
Oh wow.
I thought we was on a date. She was like, well, I don't want to miss this opportunity. Like, if he can come, we'll watch this trailer real quick.
Wow.
So, like, everybody's hustling, and I love that. So when I came back here, man, it was boots on the ground. Let's hustle. Let's get it. And I realized, like, all right, for the next year, I tried to work for people. So I had 10 jobs in 1 year, right? And I was like, man, I'm terrible at this. So I started, that's when I started the entrepreneur journey.
Going back to the beginning of your real estate journey, what was your first hire? I didn't ask that earlier.
Yeah, so my first hire initially was my wife. We was living in a condo that I bought for $19,000, right? In the villas of Oakbrook. I just told everybody where I lived. So like, people gonna be knocking on the door like, you are not supposed to be written this out. The HOA guidelines. So I hired it, right? At this point, I've been an entrepreneur for a while now, right? And the one thing I always did, my mom and dad always taught me was like, respect the game, right? Like, if you're going to drink, respect the game. If you're going to sell drugs, respect the game. Like, whatever you do, you got to respect the essence of whatever game you're playing, right? So that's what made entrepreneur like real to me. Like, if I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to wake up at 9 o'clock. I'm going to do everything I need to do, right? So I hired my wife first, not because she was my wife, because she was the best employee that I seen around me. At the time, she was working at an engineering firm as a director of marketing. She was very much what I needed at the time was structure, right? She's a black and white type of person. So I hired her first day in our living room, disc profile, gave her a job description. And that was amazing. Like, it was amazing because her disc profile taught me more about my wife than I ever knew. Like
What's a disc profile for those?
So a disc profile, Tony Robbins bought like this program called the disc, and it basically breaks you down in different categories from a D, a I, a S, or a C. You're either dominant, influential, stable, or cautious or comfortable, right? Like one of those four things you are, right? And then it gives you attributes in which how you are, how you perceive, how people perceive you, and then it takes you how if somebody's going to work with you, how they should work with you, right? So it was really dope because it helped me understand my wife in a level that I never understood. Like my wife's one of those people. One of the things was she doesn't like being interrupted when she's focused on something, right? Which is the opposite of me. I'm a D and I. I'm one of those people like squirrel, right? Like I'm like, hey, I know you're working on this. Can you start this too? She's like, no, let me finish this. And then I go to my next one where I'm working on 3 things at one time. Like, what?
Man.
So it helped us, man. It really helped us. Like she was the best first hire that I could ever ask for. Yeah.
Does she still work with you?
She does. And in a different capacity. The goal is in the next 2 years that she would probably be out of the business though, right?
Okay.
We had a baby 4 months ago and she's like, wait a minute. I want to be a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
And I think, at some point, for her, she's laid the groundwork for anybody to be able to take over and do what she does now.
Understood.
My biggest fear is I think every business got to have, like people say, you got to have a visionary, you got to have an integrator. I think the one thing Traction missed was I think every business got to have a pit bull, right? And you got to be able to have a leash on that pit bull. And sometimes you got to take that leash off, right? I'm not the pit bull. I'm just not. I'm more like a poodle that will yap, 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 and then you flinch at them, and they're like, hold on now, hold on. Like, so I think every business need a vision person and they need a integrator, but they also need a pit bull. And so as we start looking to transition her, I keep telling them like, hey, we got to have somebody that's going to be the pit bull and enforcer though.
Hmm.
Somebody's got to pick up that side of it. So yeah,
Gotcha, man. That's dope, dope. Kudos to you guys to be able to do that.
yeah, yeah.
And you've been in business 6 years, you say?
So Ethosty has been around 8 years.
8 years. Okay.
Yeah. So it transitioned from actually a GC company that we were owning 10 years ago.
Got you.
Um, and it was a commercial GC management company that we did big box stores, and then big box stores kind of slowed down. So we are like, we need residential business too, and so little by little, man, we got into this property management thing.
Got you. I think I know the answer to this, but what do you credit your most success to?
Whew. That's so everything is my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, right? Like, all right, we gonna move that, right?
Hmm.
That's understood. God is the head of my life, and we all black people go down that, like, right, like, got it, right, understood that. My life changed though when I found out I had heart disease.
Mm.
That was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Why?
So most of my friends was ball players, right? And that was our identity. That was who we were. Like, we were hoopers, right? We barely did school, but we hooped. Like, that's what we did. So for me, that would have been a struggle to shed, and I would have held on for too long. I would
Mm.
have been 27, 28. That guy that's like, man, Sterling, I would have been everything that everybody thought I would have been, right? Like, because I would have held on for dear life. I held on even when they said you could die, right? So I see a lot of my friends that struggled with finding a new identity. For me, it was taken from me. So for
Mm.
me, it was stripped away, can't have it, do something else, right?
Mm.
And that was the greatest thing that could ever happen to me, because I realized at that point that I was greater than a basketball player. I was greater than, my identity was more than just what I was at that present moment. And that's when I started building and growing. And that's where I could sit today and say, no, I'm a creator. I create,
Mm.
I build, I grow. Those are the things that make me who I am, right? And so those essence of I think inside of life, right? Inside of life, you have these pitchforks, and you got to be able to go one way or another, right? And I decided on that day, in a dark room, you know what I mean? And in those moments when you're in a dark room, crying your eyes out, trying to figure out what's next, that I chose that I was going to live that day, right? Like, I chose that I was going to live, but I wasn't going to choose to live. I was going to choose to live with vibration and
Mm.
movement and momentum, right? Like, and so yeah, man, that's probably the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
That's deep. That's dope, though, man. I'm glad
Yeah.
that you look at it like that. And I had a similar, but yet very different situation occur. But in 2008, I was in an armed robbery.
Mm,
Uh, I was doing the wrong things
I get
at
it.
the right time, I guess.
Right, right, right.
Uh, and I got kidnapped. And then,
Man.
you know what I'm saying? They came to my home, and I just happened to have a shipment. So
Yeah.
they took that and some money and things of that nature. And so that was 2008, October 28th to be exact.
Mm.
And then,
That's that, like, the date,
yeah,
the feeling,
right
the
around 5:45.
yeah, like, and those are the things I feel like is like, those are pitchforks. Like, those are the things like that change you forever, right?
And I thought it was the worst day of my life,
Right.
but it actually was the best day of my life.
Absolutely.
So the reason I thought it was the worst because shit, the essays and my
Yeah.
connects was coming, and I
Yeah.
didn't know how that was going to end.
Right.
And so they left. So obviously I'm here, so I was safe. And then I had a roommate at the time, so he left, and I was just alone.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed to
Hmm.
tell my mom and everybody. So I had to sit by myself for about 2 weeks and
Hmm.
just kind of like understand. the magnitude of what had happened. I was
Yeah.
an insurance agent at American Family, and I was transitioning to get an independent agency.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of like didn't go through. So I was just depressed. But my
Yeah.
connect literally told me this. He's like, I've never met a hustler like yourself.
Yeah.
It was like you could sell anything.
I mean, he didn't kill you, so I mean, like you sold him out of like
And so that's when
you know what I mean, like that's your influence, like you know what I mean, like
and that's what I realized at that moment that
yeah,
I didn't like. He believed more in me than I believed in
yeah.
myself.
Oh, that's deep. Yeah,
And then you know what I'm saying. And for him to be like, man, we're gonna let you get 6 months to get this back.
mm,
It was just like I said, it was still tough.
yeah,
I was angry, I was bitter, and then I quit blaming,
yeah.
and I just really took ownership in
That's
where I was
it.
at.
That's it.
And then so when I took ownership in where I was at, it really like it hones in today. Like, regardless of what happens, I'm still
Buck stops.
responsible.
Buck stops with you.
Yeah. And I think that that's allowed me to just take accountability of where I'm at and everything I do.
Oh
And,
man.
I credit that day
Yeah.
to a lot of my success today.
Oh no, man, I get it because like I think about like I tried everything in life, and I look back and I'm like I was a terrible drug dealer.
I wasn't ready for that. You're fine, bro. You're fine.
I was absolutely terrible at it. I was absolutely
And you can't be a poodle and be
no,
a drug dealer.
no,
You can't
no,
be a poodle,
no,
bro.
no. You
need
can't
a
be.
little bit of pit
No,
bull
you
in
can't be. You can't be. Like I was sitting there smoking my own stuff. Like I was going all the no-nos. Like, and this is what my mama told me.
Oh my God, this is
like
too
my
funny.
mom is the preacher's wife. Like I'm gonna get in trouble. Like my mom is like the preacher's wife, but she has a past life, right?
Gotcha,
like
gotcha.
so she's like
Gotcha.
like listen. You don't need to be this because you suck at it. Like you're gonna end up jail or dead, not because like that's what happened to drug dealers, because you're an idiot. Like you know, like so for me, man, like I was just so I was a low level like drug dealer, right? Like so I would buy stuff and then I'll be like, all right, like anybody want it? Like anybody? Anybody? Like,
Man,
nobody?
Sterling, you're fried.
Nobody? So then Dare came to our school. I was like, I gotta flush it. They said I'm gonna be on crack tomorrow. It's a gateway drug.
Man, hey, I appreciate you for coming through and blessing us, man.
Nah, man, I appreciate you. Right on.
No doubt. Before I leave, is there anything I missed? Well, tell me something that I did not ask, that I did not know. Like I didn't know you was.
Man, I'm like a drug dealer, right? Like, yeah. Man, it's a gateway drug, children. Like, it's a, you do drugs, you be selling crack. Next thing you know, you're naked in a brothel. Like, like,
There it is. There it
so,
is.
no, I mean,
Is there anything I didn't ask? Anything that, intriguing about yourself that the people don't know?
nah, man, truly, man, I just like to have fun. It's just, for me, life is too short. We can act like we always have it together, right?
Man.
Like we can always put up this guru persona, right? Like for me though, like I love being transparent. So I feel like with inside transparency, you're able to learn, right? So if you can learn from me being a whack drug dealer, or you can learn from me from being, a terrible dad at one point where I left to follow my dreams, right? Like if you can learn from me because of that, I'm able to be who I am today, right? Like, and I provide for all my kids, right? Like the same mother too. Like we married now, like so it all worked out. But I think if people can learn from that, and if I can do it, then anybody can do it.
There it is. There it is.
So,
I
yeah.
appreciate that word, man. So, man, I want to thank you guys for timing in to another episode of Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur. I take that back. First Generation Wealth Builders. Make sure to tell a friend, man. We got a dope interview here with Sterling Davis, man. Dropped a lot of jewels. We learned about syndication and much more, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Tap in with them. Where can they find you?
Yeah, Facebook, Sterling M. Davis Sr. You can find me, you can call me 888-212-3764, 888-212-EPMG. You can reach out.
Got you. With that note, we're going to get out of here, man. I see you on the other side.